Lee Van Cleef, born on January 9, 1925 in Somerville, New Jersey, became one of the most iconic actors in the Western genre. Known for his villainous roles, Van Cleef's sharp features, piercing eyes, and rugged persona made him the perfect fit for playing cold-hearted antagonists. However, his career was not an overnight success. It was the result of perseverance and reinvention. Growing up in a small town, he learned discipline from his father, a watchmaker. His service as a radio operator in World War II shaped his later roles, offering him a hardened edge that made him a natural fit for intense, serious characters. After the war, Van Cleef pursued engineering at the University of South Carolina before moving to Hollywood, where he initially took on uncredited roles. It was the start of a long journey to stardom. The early struggles in Hollywood. Van Cleef's early days in Hollywood were marked by minor roles and frustration. He began his career with small, uncredited parts in films such as High Noon, 1952, where he played a menacing henchman. Although these early roles showcased his distinctive look and ability to portray villains, they were far from the breakthrough moments he had hoped for. His career seemed to stall during the 1950s and early 1960s, as he continued to be typecast in roles that did not allow him to display his full range as an actor. During this time, Van Cleef also faced personal challenges, including a serious car accident that nearly derailed his career. Despite these setbacks, Van Cleef remained dedicated to his craft, constantly seeking new opportunities to push the boundaries of his acting. The Big Break. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. The turning point in Lee Van Cleef's career came in 1966 when he was cast in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, directed by Sergio Leone. As the ruthless gunslinger Angel Eyes, Van Cleef delivered a performance that captured the audience's attention, while Clint Eastwood's Man with No Name took the center stage. It was Van Cleef's portrayal of the cold-blooded yet intelligent bounty hunter that left a lasting impression. His performance was more than just a villainous portrayal. It added layers of complexity to a character who could have been one-dimensional. Van Cleef's performance was chilling and nuanced, a perfect fit for the morally complex world of Leone's spaghetti westerns. The film catapulted him to international fame and cemented his place as a key figure in the Western genre. Embodying complex villains and heroes, Lee Van Cleef's portrayal of villains was never one-dimensional. Unlike many of his contemporaries who played straightforward bad guys, Van Cleef's characters were layered and multifaceted. In films like For a Few Dollars More, 1965, and The Big Gun Down, 1966, he portrayed characters who, while morally ambiguous, were driven by their own code of honor. His ability to portray both menace and vulnerability made him one of the most compelling actors of the Western genre. Whether playing an aging gunslinger, a cunning outlaw, or a lawman-turned-hunter, Van Cleef brought an authenticity and depth to his characters that made them unforgettable. These roles allowed him to showcase his range as an actor, and his performances continue to be celebrated as some of the best in Western cinema, expanding into action films and television. As Westerns began to decline in popularity in the 1970s, Van Cleef transitioned into other genres, including action films and television. His commanding presence, sharp voice, and intense demeanor made him a natural fit for action roles. In Escape from New York, 1981, Van Cleef portrayed the menacing Hawk, a character who stood in stark contrast to the more traditional heroic roles he had played in earlier years. His involvement in films like The Octagon, 1980, where he starred alongside martial artist Chuck Norris, allowed him to reach a new generation of fans. In addition to his film work, Van Cleef appeared in several television series, including The Master, 1984, where he portrayed a martial arts expert. These roles expanded his range and showcased his versatility as an actor. A personal sacrifice, the injury that defined him. In 1960, while building a playhouse for his daughter Deborah, Van Cleef lost the last joint of his right-hand middle finger. This injury, while painful and significant, became part of his tough guy persona. Van Cleef was known for his rugged, no-nonsense roles, and this physical reminder of his dedication to his family only added to his image as a resilient and determined actor. Despite the injury, which required medical attention and recovery time, Van Cleef did not let it derail his career. His work ethic and commitment to his craft remained unwavering, and the missing joint became an unspoken part of his identity. His ability to hide the injury in his performances showed his skill and professionalism, and it became a symbol of his resilience and dedication. The tension between Lee Van Cleef and John Wayne. One of the most infamous aspects of Lee Van Cleef's career was his long-standing animosity with John Wayne. The two iconic actors, both giants of the Western genre, had a deep personal and professional feud that lasted for years. Their differences were rooted in their contrasting acting styles and political ideologies. Van Cleef, a method actor known for his intensity and complexity, viewed Wayne's more traditional, heroic portrayal of Western characters as lacking depth. To Van Cleef, Wayne's reliance on his larger-than-life persona represented everything wrong with Hollywood's superficial approach to filmmaking. This ideological clash was only exacerbated by their opposing political views. While Wayne was a staunch conservative and vocal supporter of traditional American values, Van Cleef leaned more towards progressive ideals, which made their interactions even more contentious. Their rivalry became legendary in Hollywood circles and added a layer of intrigue to their professional relationship. A rivalry fueled by career and ideological differences. The animosity between Lee Van Cleef and John Wayne went beyond personal dislike. It was rooted in their different approaches to their careers. Wayne had achieved superstardom early and maintained a dominant position in Hollywood, often being cast as the quintessential American hero. In contrast, Van Cleef's career was more tumultuous. He had spent years in supporting roles, often typecast as the villain. It wasn't until his roles in Sergio Leone's spaghetti westerns that he gained the recognition he deserved. Van Cleef resented the fact that figures like Wayne monopolized the spotlight, leaving little room for actors like himself to shine. Wayne's star power overshadowed Van Cleef's, and this resentment fueled the ongoing rivalry. Van Cleef believed his work was more nuanced, and he felt that Hollywood was more interested in Wayne's image than in the depth of the roles that he, Van Cleef, played. A man of complexity and legacy, Lee Van Cleef's career was not just about his roles in westerns or his intense on-screen presence. It was also about his ability to reinvent himself and navigate the ever-changing landscape of Hollywood. He was a man who struggled with typecasting but ultimately overcame it through determination and a commitment to his craft. His later years saw him transitioning into more diverse roles, including action films and television, which allowed him to reach a wider audience. and solidify his place as a versatile actor. His legacy lives on through his iconic performances, and he continues to be remembered as one of the greats of Western cinema. Whether playing a cold-blooded villain or a tragic hero, Van Cleef's work has left an indelible mark on the world of film, ensuring that his influence will be felt for generations to come.